Welcome back to Popcorn Diaries. Today we're going to be discussing little-known movies. So all these movies that are floating around in space, these are some you may have never heard about. Today we're going to discuss 6 of them, 3 of mine, 3 of Joe's. So let's kick it off, Joe. What's your first one?
First movie on my list, 1998, Dark City.
Oh, very good movie.
This is a little-known movie. It made a few $1 million, actually. It did pretty good at the box office for a little-known movie that got limited distribution. It's just a bizarre, kind of futuristic story.
It is very bizarre. I will give you that.
And if you're into bizarre, futuristic, kind of, alien mix, mystery, what's going on, how's this all going to come together in the end, this would be a good movie to check out.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on this one. It's a very dark, gritty world, and we have this main character who has these memory flashbacks that do not coincide with any part of the world he lives in.
That's right. So step 1 in Bizarro.
Yeah, step 1 of Bizarro Land. And then you have these beings floating around that keep changing everything, putting people to sleep. Everybody goes to sleep at the same time. It is so freaky the first time that happens when everybody just drops at the same time.
Yeah, what really kind of riveted me in this movie was exactly what you just said. All of a sudden, these beings and everybody drops and they start changing stuff. Most of the movie is like that. You really don't know where this is going to go, and it's really hard to just say, okay, I know how this is going to end.
Yeah, there is really no foreshadowing for what's going to happen in the rest of the movie. Unless you're like a total geek and you know movies really well, you might figure out a few things, but there are still some pretty big plot twists and turns.
Yeah, no doubt you'll have trouble guessing the ending on this one. I know first time I saw it, I just like, huh?
It's one of those movies that has that type of ending where you're just like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah, it should be noted that William Hurt is in this.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's neat about the movies that we're talking about, folks. These little-known movies that really didn't do well at the box office and weren't really designed to do well actually have some pretty good characters in it. Yeah, and some good direction, stuff like that. And this is no exception. So this is definitely on my list of see this when you're in that dark, wannabe kind of bizarre land mode.
And if you do see this, pick up the director's cut. Yes. The reason for that being that there is a very big narration in the beginning, in the original movie, and it gives away a lot. So if you don't want to have all the story kind of given to you in the first few minutes, get the director's cut.
Yeah, and this is also a great movie on Blu-ray, which I have it on Blu-ray. The high-def transfer of this was really, really, really good. And there's a lot of good visuals in this thing and, a lot of good effects, and it really comes out
visually speaking, this movie is dark and gritty, and it's reminiscent of The Matrix for a very particular reason. After this movie was made, a number of the pieces of the set were actually sold to the Matrix production. So those set pieces were reused in The Matrix.
Hollywood reuses everything. And then, okay, so what's your first pick on little-known movies?
I want to kick it off with Upside Down, which came out in 2012 with Kirsten Dunst, Jim Sturgis, Timothy Spall, Blue Mancuma, who came out in the 2012 movie, oddly enough. This is your typical Romeo and Juliet star-crossed lovers movie with a little bit of a twist. Yep, so you can expect some sappy, lovey scenes, and, it's good if you like romantic movies. What really sets this movie apart for me was the technical aspect of it. Yep. This is mind-blowing what they did to actually get this on film. They built some crazy, huge sets that turned around 360 at times. There was physics involved that they had to figure out, and it was just astounding to see everything that they were able to do. The continuity was very important in this. If they messed up, you could tell right away. So they did a pretty good job. There is some goofs here and there.
Yeah, you got to look for them, though, but they're pretty good with it. And I'll admit, when I saw this movie, I was really riveted by where this might go. It's such a cool premise, 2 worlds upside down, and they're literally almost touching each other. Visually, they did an outstanding job on this movie.
Yeah, I really got to hand it to the visual effects department in this. I mean, they really did an outstanding job of, making it look like these 2 worlds were cohesive, like they were there in relative space to each other. There was people that were able to see people on another world just by looking up. So that was pretty amazing to me. That's one of the reasons I really, really like this movie.
You know, as the movie progresses, honestly, I was hoping for a little more. It kind of ran out of steam towards the end, and which is sad because, again, the premise is so cool. These two distinctly different worlds so close to each other. You know, you're not allowed to go to the other world.
And it's not that you're not allowed. It's that physically, it's kind of an impossibility for some of the downworlders to go up above because the physics involved, the gravitational forces are really crazy in this movie. I'd recommend it. It's, you know, you'll find it here at the library. You'll probably find it on Netflix. So if you like little movies like this, definitely watch this one. How about the next one, Joe?
I'm going to have to go with The Cube.
Very good movie.
A little-known movie that's got quite the following, actually, underground following. There's some sequels to it, but it was made in the 90s. Actually, this one got recommended to me by one of my kids. They said, Dad, you have to see this movie. You know, and it's like, all right, okay, because I generally don't like what my kids tell me to go watch. You know, you've got this group of strangers, 6, 7 strangers. They're put in a cube and find your way out. That's the premise of the whole movie, folks. That's all there is. Trying to maneuver themselves from cube to cube and get out of this cube world, and it doesn't go well.
No, it doesn't. We do lose a few people. We do have very distinct personalities in this, you know, that as the movie progresses, they develop more and more into their own personalities. At the beginning, nobody wants to share, but as we keep getting into this movie, you know, things start to come out. They're tired, they're cranky, they're angry, and all those emotions.
On top of them not knowing why they're even there.
Exactly. So you've got so many tense scenes. That's one of the things that you really have to admire about this film is the amount of tension between the characters is significant.
And they're thrown in these different scenarios as they move from cube to cube and try to figure out what's going on. The tension never stops.
No, it doesn't.
You know, every time they crack a door open to make a move to the next cube, you're just like, oh man, this is not going to go good.
Yeah. You never know what's on the other side of the cube. I do have to say one thing that kind of threw me off was the very fast role reversals of Dr. Holloway and Levin. They just flip-flop roles really quickly, like in a matter of a minute or two, where Dr. Holloway comes in and she's this tough, bitter old doctor. All of a sudden, she's caring, she's, you know, standing up for everybody else, and she's a very strong-willed woman. So that was a really quick role reversal. And then Levin was even worse. You know, she comes in as this blithering girl and damsel in distress, doesn't know, hanging on to the guys. Oh, my God, save me, save me. And then 2 seconds later, she's this cocky, get out of my way, I'm going to save us kind of woman. Yeah, so that kind of threw me off a little bit. Otherwise, everything else was amazing.
It's got some good visuals. It's a very simplistic movie, folks. It was made for a nickel. Didn't make much more money than a nickel.
Was shot in 20 days. Yeah. That amazed me.
So if you want an hour and a half sitting on the edge of your seat and watching people really push to the limit.
Yeah, and one quick tidbit about this movie, which I thought was really, really interesting, was that the characters were not only named after prisons, their personalities actually come from what the prison types were. So it was really, really a good twist on that. I like that.
Okay, your next pick.
So I'm going to continue on to City of Ember that came out in 2008 with Tim Robbins, Bill Murray, Toby Jones. This is just a great movie. This comes actually from a novel. I fell in love with this movie the first time I saw it, and I've watched it many times ever since. It's set in a post-apocalyptic world where a small community has been surviving for a few centuries now. They were only supposed to be down there for about 200 years, and somehow the message was lost, and they've been down there for way too long. So they're at the brink of, we got to do something. The generator that powers everything that they have is kind of blinking out. I really love this movie. We follow 2 teenagers as they try to discover what's going on and what can we do about it. So we have one teenager who works with the generator and knows this is bad. And then we have on the other side this girl who just wants to save, you know, herself and her little sister because she's all about her family. So this was a great story. And then we get to see Bill Murray in a very...
When I watched this, I did not know what to expect. You know, the title really doesn't give it away by any means of what this is going to be about. So as this thing starts up and you realize that this whole city, this whole community is going to be buried underground for hundreds of years while there's this box that's going to fix it and explain everything, which of course gets lost. It's like, oh, this is going to be a pretty cool story. And then Bill Murray pops up. And I'm like, what is Bill Murray doing in this movie? And then Tim Robbins pops in there, you know, as the dad. And it's like, wow, this is really strange for these 2 guys to be in there. But Bill Murray is just perfect.
He's spectacular in this. I mean, he's funny.
Yep.
He's mean. He's this very weird character, but it just fits him.
It does. And one of my favorite scenes in this is when the young people are getting assigned their jobs in life. And he's going down and they're reaching in and they have a piece of paper, folks, that they look at and they say, well, I'm going to be a messenger or I'm going to be a plumber or whatever like that. And Bill Murray is there and he's going, oh, that's a very important job. That's good. Oh, yes, that's a great job for you. You'll be good at that. And he's just like, well, these are all crummy jobs.
Yeah, it is one of the funniest moments in this movie where he's just so blasé about everything that's going on.
I will admit, as much as I really like this movie and the way it went, the set design in this was really, really good. They did a great job of putting together this city that's just falling apart and there's light bulbs hanging and there's blackouts and everything. They really, really did a great job with that. But I got to admit, towards the end, I think they took the easy way out a little bit to get out of this movie.
I think they did cut a few corners, towards the end. I don't know if they were pressed for time, if they had to cut some minutes out. Who knows what was left on the cutting room floor.
I would like to see a little more at the end, a little more tension building, a little more challenge to fix this movie, to end this movie.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that. Although, I got to say, I do love the ending. They get up to the surface and it's nighttime. Mm-hmm. So they've never seen the sun. They don't know what the sun is. Yeah. And, she's got that great line where she's just like, the darkness is everywhere. But then the sun rises, and it's just a poignant moment for the movie. But yeah, I do agree it does lose some steam at the end. So, Joe, what's your next one?
Okay, my last pick is Living in Oblivion, 1995. If you're not in the film industry, you probably don't even know this movie exists. But it's got Steve Buscemi in it, which you gotta love. Every movie he's in my opinion, is great. He always plays a great character. And it's basically, folks, it's just a movie about making a very low-budget movie. And everything that can go wrong goes wrong. And if you're anyway connected with the arts or the movie industry or even the stage, that type of thing, you will just die laughing watching this thing because it just, the whole thing just is a train wreck.
Yeah. I mean, you have so many role reversals in this movie. The way that I could describe this movie is it's a movie about making a movie, wrapped up in a movie, and it's just a movie. Yep. It's all supposed to be dream sequences, and it's kind of the dreams of different characters, but every time we come into this new kind of scene that's going to develop into a kind of a short, everybody's got a different role. Everybody changes their characters. Yep. So Steve Buscemi goes from being like this total jerk to, in the next short, being this caring person. And we have other actors also doing the same thing, flip-flopping roles. So that was really great to see the diversity of what these actors can actually do.
Yeah, and there are actually a couple of scenes in here that were done very seriously that come off like that, and then it just, a second later, just falls apart. So anyway, so if you watch this thing, you're going to say, I'm never going to go make a movie. Yeah, okay? Because believe me, folks, when you watch this is how it really goes. Movie making is a challenge, and they just about pick on every part of everything that could go wrong.
Yeah, it's pretty much your worst disaster happening, and that sometimes is the day-to-day process of making a movie. Things just go wrong, light bulbs burst, and, the smoke machine doesn't work, or somebody doesn't know how to use the smoke machine. Yeah. So, those are typical things that happened or has happened on a set.
Yeah, and you've got actors that say, I don't want to do this, I'm done, and then actors who want to change things right there on the fly, patch on the eye in one scene.
Yes, Chad Palomino, his character is just amazing. He does such a good job of being such a drama queen that I just get such a kick out of it. It's definitely a great movie. I love this choice. I've seen this movie a couple of times. Love the use of black and white and color. Yes. This was such a great gimmick, and it just makes the movie work even more. So great choices that you have. The last one that I have to bring up is going to be my favorite out of all of them, which is The Usual Suspects, that came out in 1995. And you've got such a cast in this movie. You've got Kevin Spacey, Benicio del Toro, Gabriel Byrne, Kevin Pollak, Stephen Baldwin, and the list just keeps going on and on and on. This has been one of my favorite movies for a long time. It's a movie about 5 different criminal or con artist types that are brought together. And then we have the developing story of how they all work together because of a man named Kaiser Sose. Yep. One of the greatest characters that really doesn't exist, but it's such an awesome story. And we have these different timelines playing in play the whole movie. You know, you've got the present, you've got the past, and you've got the far past. So you've got a lot of different elements going on, but they all just work together. And it just is such a great movie. I love it. I've watched it too many times.
I have to agree. This is probably the best one out of the 6 that we've reviewed here. And somehow this one slipped past me. I did not see this when it came out. I'm a huge Kevin Spacey fan. Okay, so, right away when I heard he's in it, okay, so I got to watch this. I'll be honest with you. You better sit and pay attention, okay, because there's so much going on. And with the different twists and everything like that. Honestly, Kevin Spacey is just the master through this entire thing.
He just, at the end, you have shivers from his performance.
And believe me, folks, you will not know where this is going.
I'm usually very good at kind of figuring things out, and I was blown away. Yeah. So we're not going to give away the ending. You guys have to watch this movie, and you do pay attention. This is a movie that requires for you to turn off your cell phone, turn off the computer, and just really sit and watch this movie, but you will not be disappointed.
Yeah, as I'm watching this, I'm going, okay, and it's going on. I'm going, no, wait a second. Who's alive and who's dead? And wait, who's this guy? And wait a minute. Where are we? Are we present day or is he he's in the past again? So you got this ping pong and going around and everything like that with, Kevin Spacey just intertwining this incredible story. And his character is so believable. I said, I got this figured out. I figured about 3/4 way through the movie. I said, I got this. So I was totally wrong in this one. So what a great surprise at the end when I just sat there and said, what?
Kevin Spacey won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for this movie.
Yeah, well deserved.
And he definitely deserved this. I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of work he put into this movie. He put so much work into it that he actually had them glue his fingers together for each of the times that he was on set because he played a disabled person. So in order to get that realistic feel, he had them actually glue his fingers together, which was amazing, how far the dedication goes with Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, what was nice to see about this movie is this one was made on a shoestring also. They spent about $6 million making this, which is nothing these days in movies. And it made well over $20 million. So it was nice to see that this thing made some good return and some money.
I believe I heard that most of the actors did not get paid what their usual Hollywood standard was. But, to work on a project like this was once in a lifetime thing. This movie really came together. It was originally just some idea that the director had. And it just started to come together. And a lot of the things that happen in this movie are serendipity.
Yeah, because as you watch this, you're constantly asking yourself, where's this going? How is this going to all connect up? They're never going to get this to all be together at the end. And you almost kind of sense like, oh, God, I hope this thing doesn't fall apart at the end and they take some easy, way out.
But this has definitely one of my favorite all-time lines in Hollywood history, which is one of the last lines where he's like, after that, my guess is that you will never hear from him again. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he did not exist. And like that, he was gone. Mm-hmm. It's just such a riveting moment at the end of the movie, and then you see everything that happens and unfolds, and you're just blown away.
Agreed. So great pick there. We both agree that that's the best out of the 6, and we highly recommend that you all go and see it, and I believe it's here at the library.
I do, yeah. I've seen it several times.
Okay, so come and check it out, folks.
Yeah, and if you have any other movies that you would like to let us know about that maybe you think we've never heard of, let us know. I'm always on the search for a new movie to watch. So is Joe.
Okay, folks, that wraps up this edition of Popcorn Diaries. So stay tuned for our next episode and where we're going to pick one of Hollywood's favorites, actor or actress. We're not going to tell you which, and we are going to examine their career from beginning to end, good and bad. So definitely check that out. I'm Joe.
And I'm Adriana.
And we'll see you next time on Popcorn Diaries.